Welcome to the Mitcham History Notes YouTube channel. Today's video is about the 1955 Monte Carlo Rally and the men from Mitcham that took part. Adventures in the Monte Carlo Rally. Local team back after lively experiences. 3 local men, 2 of them members of the Mitcham Rotary Club, the third a son of a member, arrived home on Saturday after taking part in the Monte Carlo Rally with a 3-litre Alvis. The crew were Mr. A.G. Gray, formerly a director of Stewart Gray Limited of Tooting Junction, whose home is at Tadworth, Mr. Colin Sproxton of Nightingale Road, Carshalton, the proprietor of Home Radio in London Road, Mitcham, and Mr. Derek Roberts, whose home is at Denmark Hill and whose father, Mr. H.D. Roberts, was the owner of the car they used. They set off from Glasgow at 4 p.m, being late starters because of their number, 120, and as a result most of the journey to Dover over ice-covered roads was made in darkness. They crossed the Channel on the Lord Warden, and just 24 hours after they left Glasgow, they drove out of Boulogne. Describing the journey, Mr. Sproxton told the Advertiser this week that the run to Lille was uneventful. From there they went over the frontier into Belgium. All along the route, the police helped rally drivers and escorted them through the main cities. At Liège, the local motor club provided food, and members escorted rally cars to the outskirts of the town. After crossing into Holland, an Amsterdam motoring organisation provided a ham and egg breakfast at 6 a.m. It was in Rotterdam that the crew had their most hair-raising experience, said Mr. Sproxton. They were met by a police motorcyclist who led them through the city. I do not think his speed dropped below 70 miles an hour. It was the most terrifying part of the journey. He had a whistle in his mouth, which he blew continually, while waving everyone out of his way. He was looking over his shoulder most of the time to make sure we were following. I've never seen anything like it before, and I don't know that I want to see anything like it again. Roads had been icy most of the way, but on the road to Paris they tried to make up as much time as possible because they had arranged to have the engine of the car checked there. It was on this part of the trip that they had their first signs of engine overheating. Nothing could be done about this in Paris, and later it turned out to be due to a faulty water pump. By the time they reached the French capital, they had lost no marks, but trouble lay ahead. They were told that the section of the road that they were to take next was completely flooded, and the only alternative was to take a 60-mile detour in order to reach the next checkpoint. No extra time was allowed for this detour. We would have made it in the required time, but for the trouble we were experiencing with the engine, said Mr. Sproxton. As it was, they arrived at Vesoul 58 minutes late and lost 58 marks. They discovered afterwards that the road they should have used had not been badly flooded. In fact, many competitors did use it quite safely. At Gap they entered the secret section. In this case they had to follow a prescribed route. They were told the time averages they had to observe. By this time we'd been on the road for 2 days without rest. Working out simple sums connected with the time averages became almost mentally impossible. For the last 220 miles to Monte Carlo, the time penalty was increased to 1 mark for every second early or late. There were hairpin bends all the way, with rock walls on one side and a sheer drop on the other. The roads were icy, but to keep to schedule, the contestants had to drive at 60 miles per hour all the time. On this stretch, the Mitcham party were lucky. Because of their fairly high number, they did not start until it was light, which made the journey easier. On one section of 200 yards we counted 6 cars which had crashed in the darkness, when the roads were like glass, said Mr. Sproxton. The Mitcham team arrived in Monte Carlo on time. They were 212th out of the 350 cars which entered, and the 320 which actually started in the rally.